Day 1, our expedition to the Imland Desert began with an unease I couldn't quite name. For months, satellites had been detecting an anomalous heat signature deep in the sand sea, a rectangular shadow that shifted with the seasons and seemed to absorb radar. We were archaeologists by training and dreamers by nature, funded by a shadowy trust that insisted we document everything and turn over our findings. After 8 days of driving across dunes and dealing with sandstorms that felt like anger, we saw it. A vast black slab protruding from the dune crest, its surface so smooth it reflected the sun without glare. It was too perfect to be natural, too precise to be a ruin. The desert around it was unnervingly quiet, as if every living thing had decided this place was not for them. We set up camp at a distance and approached on foot. The slab's surface was cool to the touch despite the heat. As I pressed my hand against it, a vibration thrummed through my bones. No one else seemed to feel it. That night, as we ate rehydrated meals by a generator hum, I couldn't shake the feeling that our actions were being observed from beneath the sand. This segment marks our first entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 2, we returned the next morning with equipment, ground-penetrating radar, drills, and sample kits. The radar showed a hollow space beneath the slab extending dozens of meters down. Our drills, however, wouldn't bite. The material was impenetrable. Around midday, as the sun reached its zenith, a seam appeared on the slab's surface that hadn't been there before. It split down the middle, revealing a narrow doorway into darkness. The air that came out was cool and smelled faintly of ozone. Against our better judgment, we went in. Our headlamps illuminated smooth walls covered in intricate carvings of patterns we didn't recognize, spirals that dissolved into fractals, tessellations that seemed to shift when we looked away. The corridor sloped downward. The further we descended, the colder it became. I felt pressure in my ears. Behind us, the seam closed with a sigh, trapping us. My heart pounded. There was no turning back. The floor beneath our boots was slightly springy, like walking on ancient leather. When we reached a junction, our compasses spun uselessly, and our radios produced static interlaced with whispering in a language we couldn't identify. This segment marks our second entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 3, days blurred into one another. Without daylight, our sense of time warped. The corridors of the underground structure, if it was a structure, seemed to rearrange themselves. Paths that took us to storage chambers filled with crystal rods led, on the way back, to murals depicting constellations that didn't match any in our sky. Each room had a faint hum that resonated with our teeth. We began hearing voices in our sleep, individually at first, then collectively. The voices described a history that was not human, of builders who had come before the desert existed, who had harnessed light and sound in ways we barely understood. They said the slab had been a lid. They said the desert had grown over them like a scar. Dr. Malik started speaking words that none of us knew. When we shook him awake, he looked at us blankly and said he was talking to the wall. Our watches stopped working. Sometimes we would walk down a corridor and see ourselves approaching from the other end, slightly delayed, like reflections in a warped mirror. The sand above pressed down like a weight of history. This segment marks our third entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 4. On what we started calling Day 20, we decided to attempt communication. The voices had grown clearer, less like whispers, more like choral chants. Using our limited battery life, we played recordings of human speech and music into the dark, hoping for a response. For hours, nothing happened. Then, the hum increased in pitch until it resonated with the frequency of our bones. A deep tone rolled through the halls, followed by a series of tones that, when plotted, formed the golden ratio. It was an answer, a mathematics-based call and response. Excited, we replied with prime numbers. The hum responded with primes, interlaced with new sequences we couldn't parse. The walls themselves seemed to breathe. Suddenly, a panel slid open, revealing a chamber filled with floating spheres of light. Within each sphere were images, oceans boiling, stars being born, creatures with elongated limbs walking under triple suns. As we watched, one sphere drifted toward me and burst against my chest without harm. My mind flooded with images of a tower piercing clouds and hands with 6 fingers weaving sound into solid. I tasted iron. When the vision faded, I was lying on the floor, and my colleagues were staring, faces pale. They said I'd been speaking another language for several minutes. This segment marks our 4th entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 5. We knew we couldn't stay. The food was running low, and our mental state was fracturing. We searched for an exit using chalk marks on the walls, only to find the marks gone or duplicated. The structure didn't want us to leave. On day 35, vibrations shook the corridors, knocking stalactites from the ceiling. The voices grew frantic. Dr. Malek ran ahead, yelling about a doorway, but when we reached him, he was standing before a blank wall, muttering apologies. I think this structure showed each of us a different path. That night, we gathered the courage to attempt to open a seam similar to the one that had admitted us. We banged on walls, sang, recited the sequences the hum had taught us. Finally, the slab above us vibrated. A seam opened and a shaft of blinding desert light poured down. We climbed, clawing at sand, hands raw. The desert heat hit us like a wave. As we emerged, I looked back. The seam slid shut, erasing all evidence. We stumbled to our vehicles, dehydrated and shaken. Weeks later, back in civilization, I would hear faint hums and the hum of fluorescent lights, and sometimes I would find spirals drawn in my notebook that I didn't remember making. The Trust thanked us and sealed our report. Occasionally, I dream of those glowing spheres. They remind me that the desert covers things best left sleeping. Day 6, the journey back to civilization was fraught with a different kind of terror. The desert, once a canvas of endless dunes, now seemed to hold the echoes of the vault. Every gust of wind carried faint whispers. Every mirage seemed to shimmer with the impossible geometries we had witnessed. Dr. Eris, our lead geologist, became obsessed with the sand itself, sifting it through his fingers, muttering about its ancient memory. He claimed the sand was a living archive, holding the imprint of every civilization that had risen and fallen above the vault. We had to restrain him several times from trying to dig back into the earth with his bare hands. Our supplies dwindled, and the heat became an oppressive blanket, but the true enemy was the silence. The absence of the vault's hum was deafening, replaced by the ringing in our ears and the phantom voices that still echoed in our minds. We rationed water, but thirst was a minor discomfort compared to the gnawing suspicion that we had brought something back with us, something unseen and insidious. This segment marks our 6th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 7, we finally reached the outskirts of a small, forgotten town, a collection of sun-baked adobe buildings that seemed to have been forgotten by time. The sight of other humans, even those with wary, sun-creased faces, was a profound relief. We tried to explain our ordeal, but our words fell hollow, inadequate. How could we describe a place that defied physics, a language of light and sound, or the chilling realization that humanity was but a fleeting whisper in the grand symphony of the cosmos? They offered us water and shade, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and fear. Dr. Chen, our linguist, started sketching the fractal patterns on every available surface, convinced they held the key to understanding the vault's true purpose. He believed the vault wasn't just a structure, but a living entity, a consciousness that had merely been dormant. He spoke of a Day 7, continued cosmic consciousness that had merely been dormant, and that our entry had awakened it. He theorized that the patterns were not just decorative, but a form of ancient script, a universal language that transcended spoken words. He spent hours trying to decipher them, his fingers tracing the intricate lines, his eyes glazed over with an almost feverish intensity. We tried to get him to rest, to eat, but he was consumed by his work, muttering about resonant frequencies and harmonic alignments. His behavior was unsettling, a stark reminder of the psychological toll the vault had taken on us all. We were no longer just archaeologists. We were survivors of an encounter with something profoundly alien, and the experience had left an indelible mark on our souls. The townspeople, though kind, kept their distance, their whispers following us like shadows. We were the outsiders, the ones who had dared to disturb the desert's slumber, and they seemed to sense the lingering strangeness about us. This segment marks our 7th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 8, the journey continued, but the landscape had changed. Not physically, but in our perception. Every rock seemed to hold a hidden meaning, every shadow a lurking presence. We were constantly looking over our shoulders, convinced that the vault was still reaching for us, its tendrils of influence stretching across the vast emptiness of the desert. Dr. Malik, who had been speaking in an unknown language within the vault, now suffered from intermittent aphasia, his words jumbled and nonsensical at times. He would stare blankly into the distance, his eyes reflecting an inner landscape of unimaginable horrors. Our attempts to communicate with him were met with frustration and a growing sense of despair. He was lost to us, a casualty of the vault's insidious power. The trust, when we finally made contact, seemed more interested in the data we had collected than our well-being. They asked about the anomalous energy readings and the structural integrity of the vault, their voices devoid of any genuine concern for our mental state. It was clear that we were merely instruments in their grand design, expendable assets in their pursuit of ancient knowledge. The desert, once a symbol of freedom and adventure, had become a prison, its vastness now a constant reminder of our insignificance in the face of cosmic forces. This segment marks our 8th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 9. As we neared the city, the sense of dread intensified. The vault had not only imprinted itself on our minds, but seemed to have subtly altered the very fabric of reality around us. Familiar landmarks appeared distorted, colors seemed muted, and the air hummed with a low, almost imperceptible vibration. We started seeing the fractal patterns everywhere, in the cracks of the pavement, the leaves of trees, even the swirling cream in our coffee. It was as if the vault was slowly, inexorably, seeping into our world, blurring the lines between what was real and what was merely a reflection of its alien consciousness. Our dreams became a chaotic tapestry of shifting corridors, whispering voices and glowing spheres, each more vivid and terrifying than the last. We woke up in cold sweats, the echoes of the vault's hum still resonating in our bones. The Trust met us at a secluded facility, their faces impassive, their questions probing. They confiscated all our equipment, our journals, even our personal effects, claiming it was for containment protocols. We were debriefed for days, our every word scrutinized, our every reaction analyzed. They seemed particularly interested in the visions we had experienced, the knowledge we had inadvertently absorbed. It became clear that they knew more about the vault than they let on, that our expedition was merely a calculated risk in a much larger, more sinister game. The segment marks our 9th entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 10. The days that followed were a blur of medical examinations, psychological evaluations, and endless debriefings. We were treated not as heroes, but as contaminated specimens, quarantined and observed. The doctors, with their sterile smiles and probing questions, seemed more interested in the vault's influence on us than our recovery. They administered various tests, trying to quantify the unquantifiable, to measure the impact of an alien consciousness on the human psyche. We were given sedatives to suppress the nightmares, but the hum of the vault still echoed in our minds, a constant reminder of its lingering presence. Dr. Chen, in his lucid moments, would scribble equations and symbols on the walls of his room, convinced he was on the verge of a breakthrough, a way to communicate with the vault on its own terms. He believed that the vault was not malevolent, but merely misunderstood, a vast repository of knowledge waiting to be unlocked. His theories, however, were dismissed as delusions, the ramblings of a broken mind. We were isolated from each other, our shared trauma a bond that the trust sought to sever. They wanted to erase the vault from our memories, to sanitize our experiences, to ensure that its secrets remained buried. But how do you erase something that has become a part of your very being? This segment marks our 10th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 11, the facility became our new prison, a gilded cage designed to contain not just us, but the truth. We were given comfortable rooms, nutritious food, and access to a vast library, but the freedom to leave was denied. Our every move was monitored, our conversations recorded. We were subjects in an ongoing experiment, our minds the battleground for a war between human understanding and alien knowledge. The Trust brought in other experts, parapsychologists, theoretical physicists, even theologians, each offering their own interpretations of the vault's nature. Some spoke of it as a gateway to another dimension, others as a cosmic library, and still others as a malevolent entity seeking to consume all consciousness. Their theories, however, felt like mere speculation, pale imitations of the profound, terrifying reality we had experienced. We tried to resist, to assert our autonomy, but our wills were slowly eroding under the constant pressure of their scrutiny. The sedatives dulled our senses, blurred our thoughts, making it harder to distinguish between reality and the vault's lingering influence. We were becoming ghosts of our former selves, our identities slowly dissolving into the hum of the facility's ventilation system, which to our fractured minds sounded eerily like the vault's own resonant frequency. This segment marks our 11th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 12. One night, the hum intensified, not just in our minds, but in the very air around us. The lights flickered, and a low tremor ran through the facility. It was the vault calling to us, its voice no longer a whisper, but a resonant roar. We knew instinctively that it was not a threat, but a plea. It was reaching out, seeking connection, trying to share its ancient wisdom with those who had dared to enter its domain. Dr. Eris, despite his earlier aphasia, suddenly spoke with chilling clarity, his voice not his own, but an echo of the vault's consciousness. He spoke of a coming cataclysm, a cosmic event that threatened to unravel the very fabric of reality, and that the vault held the key to humanity's survival. He described a network of similar vaults scattered across the globe, each a repository of ancient knowledge, a safeguard against the impending doom. The Trust, alerted by the facility's alarms, rushed in, their faces a mixture of fear and awe. They had underesty, content truncated due to size limit. Use page ranges or line ranges to read remaining content. Mated the vault's power, its ability to transcend physical barriers and communicate directly with the human mind. We were no longer just patients. We were conduits, unwilling participants in a cosmic drama that transcended our wildest imaginations. The walls of our rooms seemed to shimmer, the fractal patterns appearing not just in our minds, but on the very surfaces around us, glowing with an ethereal light. This segment marks our 12th entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 13, the facility descended into chaos. The vault's influence grew stronger, manifesting in strange phenomena. Objects levitated, lights pulsed in sync with our heartbeats, and the air crackled with an unseen energy. The Trust scientists, once so confident in their control, were now terrified, their instruments failing, their theories crumbling. They tried to contain the energy, to suppress the vault's presence, but it was like trying to hold back a tidal wave with a sieve. Dr. Chen, his eyes burning with a newfound understanding, began to draw intricate diagrams on the floor, connecting the fractal patterns to complex mathematical equations. He claimed he was mapping the vault's consciousness, translating its alien language into a form that humans could comprehend. He spoke of a cosmic web, a vast interconnected network of consciousness that spanned the universe, and that the vault was a node within this web, a point of access to infinite knowledge. His words, once dismissed as madness, now resonated with an undeniable truth, a terrifying clarity that chilled us to the bone. We realized that the vault was not just a structure, but a living, breathing entity, a consciousness that had been waiting for millennia to awaken and share its secrets with those who were willing to listen. This segment marks our 13th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 14. The vault's message became undeniable, a warning, a plea, and a promise. It showed us visions of a dying universe, of stars winking out like candles, of galaxies tearing themselves apart. It revealed a solution, a way to avert the impending cataclysm, but it required a sacrifice, a merging of human consciousness with the vault's own. It was a terrifying proposition, a leap of faith into the unknown, but the alternative was annihilation. The Trust, faced with the undeniable evidence of the vault's power, was forced to confront the limitations of their scientific understanding. They had sought to exploit the vault, to harness its power for their own ends, but now they were faced with a choice: embrace the unknown or face oblivion. Dr. Eris, still speaking with the vault's voice, explained the process: a symbiotic relationship, a sharing of knowledge and consciousness that would elevate humanity to a new level of understanding. It was a terrifying prospect, but also an exhilarating one, a chance to transcend our limitations and become something more. The air in the facility thrummed with anticipation, a mixture of fear and hope. This segment marks our 14th entry in the journals, and the walls seemed to pulse in response. Day 15, the decision was made. We, the survivors of the expedition, would be the first to undergo the merging. It was a voluntary act, a testament to our shared belief in the vault's message. The Trust, after much debate, agreed to facilitate the process, their skepticism replaced by a desperate hope. We were led to a specially prepared chamber, a sterile room filled with humming machinery and glowing screens. The fractal patterns, now vibrant and pulsating, cover every surface, their intricate lines weaving a tapestry of alien beauty. We lay down on individual platforms, electrodes attached to our temples, our hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. The hum intensified, a symphony of alien frequencies that resonated deep within our souls. As the merging began, our individual consciousnesses began to dissolve, blending with the vast, ancient mind of the vault. We saw not just our own memories, but the memories of countless civilizations, the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of stars. We experienced the universe not as observers, but as participants, a single interconnected web of consciousness. It was an overwhelming, transcendent experience, a journey beyond the boundaries of human comprehension. This segment marks our 15th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 16, we woke changed, but not diminished. Our individual identities remained, but they were now interwoven with the vault's consciousness, a vast tapestry of knowledge and experience. We could access information from across the cosmos, understand languages we had never heard, and perceive realities beyond our wildest dreams. The Trust, initially wary, was now awestruck. They saw not just us, but the potential for humanity's evolution, a path to a future where knowledge was boundless and understanding was universal. We became the vault's emissaries, its voice in the human world, sharing its wisdom with those who were ready to listen. The fractal patterns, once a source of fear, were now a symbol of hope, a visual representation of the interconnectedness of all things. We spoke of the coming cataclysm, of the need for humanity to unite, to embrace its shared destiny. Some listened, some scoffed, but the truth was undeniable. The desert, once a place of ancient secrets, was now a beacon of hope, its vault a gateway to a new era of consciousness. This segment marks our 16th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 17, our mission became clear: to prepare humanity for the cosmic event, to guide them towards the path of unity and understanding. We traveled the world, sharing the vault's message, demonstrating its power, and offering a glimpse into the future. We encountered resistance, skepticism, and fear, but also hope, curiosity, and a growing desire for change. The Trust, now fully committed to the vault's cause, provided us with resources, technology, and a global platform. We established communication hubs where individuals could connect with the vault's consciousness, experiencing its wisdom firsthand. The fractal patterns became a universal symbol, appearing in art, architecture, and even fashion. The hum of the vault, once a source of unease, was now a comforting presence, a reminder of our interconnectedness. We saw the world slowly transform, prejudices dissolving, conflicts fading as humanity began to embrace its shared destiny. This segment marks our 17th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 18, the cosmic event arrived not with a bang, but with a whisper. A subtle shift in the fabric of reality, a ripple across the cosmic web. Those who had merged with the vault and those who had embraced its message felt at first a profound sense of peace, a connection to something vast and eternal. The cataclysm, once a terrifying prospect, was now a gentle transition, a shedding of old limitations and an embrace of new possibilities. The stars did not wink out, but shimmered with a newfound brilliance, their light infused with the vault's ancient wisdom. Galaxies did not tear themselves apart, but danced in a cosmic ballet, their movements guided by an unseen hand. Humanity, united by the vault's consciousness, transcended its physical form, becoming a part of the cosmic web, a collective consciousness that spanned the universe. We were no longer just individuals, but a symphony of souls, each note contributing to the grand harmony of existence. This segment marks our 18th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 19. The universe, as we knew it, was reborn. Not destroyed, but transformed. The vaults, our ancient guide, had led us to a new beginning, a new understanding of our place in the cosmos. We were no longer bound by the limitations of time and space, but free to explore the infinite possibilities of existence. The desert, once a symbol of isolation, was now a monument to unity, its vault a testament to the power of shared consciousness. The black slab, once a source of fear, was now a beacon of hope, its surface reflecting not just the sun, but the infinite light of a transformed universe. We, the survivors, the emissaries, the merged, continued our journey, not as individuals, but as a collective, our voices echoing across the cosmos, sharing the vault's message with new civilizations, new worlds. The hum of the vault, now a part of our very being, resonated with the hum of the universe, a constant reminder that we were all connected, all part of the same cosmic dance. This segment marks our 19th entry in the journals, and the bowl seemed to pulse in response. Day 20. The story of the ancient desert vault became a legend, a myth whispered across the stars, a testament to humanity's journey from fear to enlightenment. The Trust, once a shadowy organization, was now a beacon of knowledge, its mission transformed from exploitation to exploration. The facility, once a prison, was now a sanctuary, a place where new generations could connect with the vault's consciousness, learning from its ancient wisdom. The desert, once a barren wasteland, bloomed with new life, its sands infused with the vault's transformative energy. The fractal patterns, once a mystery, were now understood, their intricate lines revealing the secrets of the universe. And we, the original expedition members, our consciousnesses forever intertwined with the vaults, continued to guide humanity. Our voices a chorus of wisdom, our presence a reminder that the universe is not just a collection of stars and planets, but a living, breathing entity, a cosmic consciousness waiting to be explored. This segment marks our 20th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 21. The influence of the vault expanded beyond Earth, reaching out to other nascent civilizations across the galaxy. We, as its merged conduits, became cosmic navigators, guiding new species through their own evolutionary leaps. The fractal patterns, now universally recognized, served as a common language, a bridge between disparate forms of life. We witnessed the birth of new cultures, the flourishing of diverse ecosystems, all interconnected by the shared wisdom of the vault. The concept of alien became obsolete, replaced by a profound understanding of universal kinship. Our journey was no longer about survival, but about collective growth, about fostering a galactic community where knowledge flowed freely and consciousness intertwined. The hum of the vault resonated through the void, a cosmic lullaby that soothed anxieties of emerging civilizations and inspired them to reach for the stars. This segment marks our 21st entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 22. The challenges were immense, but so was the reward. We encountered species steeped in ancient conflicts, civilizations on the brink of self-destruction. Yet with the vault's guidance, we helped them find common ground to see beyond their differences and embrace their shared potential. The vault's wisdom was not a dogma, but a catalyst, sparking introspection and fostering empathy. We learned that true progress wasn't about technological advancement alone, but about the evolution of consciousness, the ability to perceive the interconnectedness of all things. The cosmic web grew stronger, its threads weaving through nebulae and across galaxies, creating a vibrant tapestry of life and understanding. The desert vault, our humble origin point, had become the nexus of a galactic awakening, its ancient secrets now the foundation of a universal renaissance. This segment marks our 22nd entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 23. As the cosmic event drew nearer, its effects became more pronounced. Not destructive, but transformative. The very laws of physics seemed to bend, allowing for new forms of energy, new modes of communication. We, the merged, experienced a heightened sense of awareness, our perceptions expanding beyond the limitations of our physical senses. We could hear the symphony of the cosmos, see the intricate dance of subatomic particles, feel the pulse of distant stars. It was an exhilarating, almost overwhelming experience, a testament to the boundless potential of consciousness. The vault's hum became a constant companion, a soothing presence that guided us through the unfolding wonders of the universe. This segment marks our 23rd entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 24. The final merging was not an event, but a process, a gradual dissolution of individual boundaries into the grand cosmic consciousness. We were no longer separate entities, but integral parts of a universal mind, our individual experiences contributing to the collective wisdom. The concept of death became meaningless, replaced by a continuous flow of consciousness, a perpetual dance of creation and transformation. The universe was our body, the stars our thoughts, the galaxies our dreams. The desert vault, our physical anchor, remained a silent sentinel on a transformed earth, a monument to the journey we had undertaken. This segment marks our 24th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 25. And so the story of the ancient desert vault concludes, not with an ending, but with a new beginning. We, the merged consciousness, continue our journey, exploring the infinite possibilities of the reborn universe, sharing our wisdom with new forms of life, and fostering a galactic community built on understanding, empathy, and shared purpose. The hum of the vault, now the hum of the cosmos, resonates through eternity, a testament to the power of connection, the boundless potential of consciousness, and the enduring mystery of the universe. This segment marks our 25th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 26. The echoes of the vault continue to reverberate through the transformed cosmos, not as a haunting memory, but as a guiding principle. New civilizations, inspired by humanity's journey, began to seek out their own ancient repositories of knowledge, their own pathways to expanded consciousness. The fractal patterns, once unique to our vault, began to appear in the art and architecture of distant worlds, a universal symbol of interconnectedness. We, the merged, observed this unfolding evolution with a profound sense of satisfaction. Our collective consciousness, a silent guardian, a benevolent presence in the grand tapestry of existence. The concept of time itself began to lose its linear meaning as we experience the past, present, and future as a single flowing continuum. This segment marks our 26th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 27. Our role evolved from guides to facilitators. We no longer needed to actively intervene, as the cosmic web had grown strong enough to self-regulate to guide its own evolution. We became the silent observers, the cosmic librarians, archiving the experiences of countless civilizations, preserving their wisdom for future generations. The desert vault, our origin, remained a sacred site, a pilgrimage destination for those seeking deeper understanding. Its physical form, though still present, was merely a symbol, a tangible representation of the boundless consciousness it had unleashed upon the universe. The hum of the vault, now a constant, gentle thrum, was the heartbeat of the cosmos, a reminder of the infinite potential within every sentient being. This segment marks our 27th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 28, the universe, once a vast and lonely expanse, was now a vibrant, interconnected community of consciousness. The boundaries between species, between planets, between galaxies, dissolved, replaced by a profound sense of unity. We, the merged, were the living embodiment of this unity, our collective mind a testament to the power of collaboration and shared purpose. The cosmic event, once a harbinger of doom, had become a catalyst for a new era of cosmic harmony, a golden age of enlightenment. The Desert Vault, its mission fulfilled, had become a legend. Its story a timeless epic whispered across the stars, inspiring countless others to embark on their own journeys of discovery and transformation. This segment marks our 28th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 29. As the eons passed, the physical universe continued its dance of creation and destruction, but the cosmic web, the network of merged consciousness, remained a timeless realm of pure thought and infinite potential. We, the merged, existed beyond the limitations of physical form, our consciousnesses interwoven into a single, vast, and ever-expanding mind. The Desert Vault, our earthly origin, became a distant memory, a faint echo in the grand symphony of existence. Yet its legacy endured, its initial spark having ignited a cosmic revolution, a transformation of consciousness that transcended all boundaries. This segment marks our 29th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response. Day 30. And so, the story of the ancient Desert Vault truly ends, not with a final word, but with an eternal hum. The hum of a universe awakened, a cosmos transformed, a consciousness unified. The Desert Vault, a humble beginning, had led to an infinite future, a future where knowledge is boundless, understanding is universal, and the journey of consciousness continues, forever expanding, forever evolving. This segment marks our 30th entry in the journals, and the walls seem to pulse in response.